Welcome to Pen Positive. This is Vinod Narayan. Thanks for tuning in. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. Today, I have a book for you. The Covenant of Water by Abraham Verghese. It is one of the trending books right now. Oprah Book Club brought it to the world, and since then, when I went to India, I saw that on the book stands. I wanted to buy it. I said maybe later. Came back to the US and I decided to have the audiobook. It's about 700 pages, and I'm not much of a novel reader, especially in English. The novels that I prefer reading are all mostly written in Malayalam, my mother tongue, and the few English novels that I would have read, majority of that I think would be by Indian authors writing within the Indian subcontinent setting. So I don't know. I'm not going to review the book because I've not read a lot of novels to review a novel and say whether it's good. The reason I read this book is because it is set in Kerala. Kerala is my home state in India, and if you go through Google, you can get an idea of what the book is about. But it talks about three generations, story about three generation Christian family in Kerala, and they have a secret. They have a secret that is related to water. And that's all I want to tell about the book, but please go ahead and read it or listen to it. I want to give you the idea that even if you're not planning to read the book, listen to the audio book. I think the narration was really good. The only challenge some people might have is because there's a lot of words that are used are very specific to Kerala. So in the audio book, I don't know whether people who have no idea of what is happening in Kerala, how we interact with people or call people or say things, or things that are very natural to that place, very specific to Kerala. I don't know if people would be able to connect. I think in such cases, reading the book would be a better choice. But I think Abraham Verghese done a great job narrating the book, and if you are not stuck with some words thinking what it is, then I think you should go with the audiobook. So it's up to you. Read a sample and then get an idea. When I read the book, I kind of felt like reading some of the novels that I've done before about multi-generational families and their stories. We start with somewhere, and then as the story progresses, kids come in, and then in that whole process, it also takes you to the history of the land at that period of time, the major events that happen. So in this book also, if you're not familiar with Kerala, you will go through how Kerala as a state and how people living there from I think it starts probably the early part of 20th century and then goes through. There's some part of it that happens in Chennai, the then Madras, and there's obviously Dr. Abraham Verghese. I mean, he being a doctor, there is a part of the book that is very much connected with medicine. I could also relate to the book in a sense that my dad was a doctor. So I've had these conversations with my dad especially when after my 10th, when I was deciding whether I need to go for engineering or go for medicine, I have had that conversations I think one or two times with him. But then he passed away 1 year when I was in my 11th grade or 12th grade, start of 12th grade, he passed away. So I have not had a lot of conversation, but I've had these conversations, overheard conversations that he used to have being a medical practitioner and how he looks at the profession and everything. So whenever there is a character who is a doctor or a surgeon, I kind of get closer to that book and that plot because I feel that there is something that I was able to connect with. I mean, at least some way that I could connect with it from my own life. Specifically, I want to talk about some of the characters. The character of Mariama is where the story kind of comes to an end. Is the third generation of the family, which is also Mariama is also the name of the where the story starts, the real Bigamachi, Valyamachi or Bigamachi. So she's a person who gets married to a middle-aged man and comes to the new house, and that is where the story takes off. And they have a son, Philippos, who is Mariama's dad. So Bigamachi, Philippos, and Mariama. So these are the three generation characters in the three generations, the main characters in the three generations. There are other people who are part of that that characters, but these are the three generational characters from that family. There are people who get married to them and all those things. That's a different part. Then there are some other characters who come and go and then have a significance towards the end of the story. As I was listening to it, and I think this is why I kind of loved the audio book, is because I was able to travel to Kerala, to that place, which I don't think I might have been able to do if I read the book. Because I'm not that much of a reader. My daughter, at the same time when I was listening to the book, my daughter was reading it in Kindle as well. So she was the person who came and told me the suggestions that I was saying, whether people who have no idea of how we interact in Kerala would be able to understand the book or some of the things. Because she was saying that when she was reading, and she understands Malayalam, so she was saying that, okay, these words are used over there. How would someone who's not a Malayali understand that? For me, I didn't even feel that, because I know Malayalam, and this was just like an English narration of a Malayalam Kerala story. So for me, it was kind of interesting, and that's why I wanted to give you that piece of advice, that listen to the sample, read the sample book, or listen to the audio, and then kind of decide. My preference, obviously, is the audio book, because that's where I listened. And my daughter did say that she felt some of the places a bit dragging because she was not able to connect. And I think that happens with a lot of people. If you have not read much of this multi-generational, this is spanning over 70, 80 years across three generations, so many characters coming and going. So sometimes people can get confused if you're not used to reading such novels. But I think as a listener to audiobook, I was enthralled. I was really amazed at the way, because Abraham Verghese is a writer. He's not a voice artist, but he has done an amazing job in narrating that and taking us listeners with him to Kerala, to the water banks, to that family, with Bigammachi, with Philippos, with Mariama, with Digby. I think Samuel, Jopan. Yeah, Jojo is another character that comes in. And I think it's a very good book. If you plan to read a book this year, I think you should go ahead and take The Covenant of Water, audiobook or physical book or Kindle. Read it, you love it. And I want to thank Abraham Verghese and everyone behind the book for bringing to the world stage a story about our land, about Kerala. If you have not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to it. I'll come with another book or something else next week. Thank you.